culture of healing.
Yeah.
There's like I almost don't even want to call it a culture. I want to shorten it out to a cult of healing, because a lot of people will use trauma as their identity.
Yeah.
And they'll just let this trauma just carry them through without actually doing the work. So what I want to ask you is, when should somebody realize that they have let this trauma become something that they identify with, instead of actually doing the work to build a life that they actually want?
I really, really like that question. A few different angles come to mind, but the foundation that I like to start from for anybody is the relationships that we have, right? We will sometimes have relationships with a title of a person than who this person actually is. And what we have to understand is that just because the mind belongs to us doesn't mean that it cares about us. The mind has two goals, and it's comfort and self-preservation. But the only way that it can get comfort and preserve itself in whatever it is it knows is in what it knows best. And that's where it finds comfort. The brain doesn't care about your happiness. It doesn't care about your success. All it cares about is being comfortable. So if you have trained your mind not to set healthy boundaries or speak up for yourself or hold your tongue when you need to hold it, it starts to hardwire itself and says, okay, this is my place of comfort. This is where I want to be. Take a bad relationship, for example. A lot of people are not in bad relationships because they desire to be or they want to be. They're in bad relationships because it's what they know best. And anything outside of that is what really scares me. I would rather navigate a trauma that I know than operate in a success that I don't know. That's the boogeyman. That's afraid. And it's like, whoa. So when do you know? The foundation is health first. Not a race, not a religion, not a politic. The first question is it healthy? And if you can't answer yes to that, we can't entertain anything after that. So when do I know? The very second it's not healthy. I don't care if you perform well in it. Well, I can walk through my house when it's completely dark because I know my home. But is it safe for me to walk in the dark? Should I be walking in the dark? No, because anything could change. I could step on a toy, I could kick the dog, I might bump something, cut myself, or anything. So just because I know how to walk through my darkness doesn't mean that I should walk through my darkness. Is it healthy? And if I can't say yes to that, then I can't continue forward.
I'll have somebody who we think of, and they always use some type of past trauma as an excuse for why they do the things that they do. And it kind of goes back to the story about the two brothers raised by an abusive alcoholic father. Right, and then one becomes an abusive alcoholic father. He says, "Well, of course I am. Look at my father." And the other one becomes a loving, non-alcoholic and non-abusive father. And he's like, "Well, how did you become like that?" So, of course, this is how I am. Look at my father. Same situation, different point of view, different perspective, and the way that they reframed the situation dictated how they operated. So my question for you is, if I have a certain level of trauma and I already know that it is unhealthy, typically you'll know it's unhealthy if you see the same patterns repeat over and over and over. What are some tactical paths, I guess, I could take to stop looking at it from that perspective and stop being a victim, so I can then recreate myself to become a victor and look at this from a frame of, hey, this empowers me because of, as opposed to disempowers me because of?
Yeah, number one of my biggest go-tos, one of my quickest go-tos is separating the facts from the feelings. Separating the facts from the feelings. There's a way that we feel, but then there are still facts. Are the ways that I'm feeling, are these factual-based feelings, or are these just feelings? And here's the tell. Here's where a lot of people tell on themselves. If you can articulate a problem, you can solve a problem. A problem with a solution is a choice. And many of us do not have the problems that we say we have. The problems that we actually have is we're not making decisions we have the ability to make. Well, of course I am. Look at my father. Wait a minute, you know? You know where the problem comes from? You know it? Oh, so we don't have the problem that we say we have. We're making a decision. If you get out there and you behave a certain type of way, and you have patterns and behaviors and things of that nature. And people are like, well, I don't know. I don't know why I'm addicted to drugs. I don't know why I struggle with pornography. I don't know why I cheat on I don't know any of these things. Well, what about you? I don't know anything about my dad. Oh, you really might not know. But if one person can say, well, of course I am. Look at my dad. Well, of course I'm not. Look at my dad. If you have the ability to articulate the conception or the inception of a thing, then you have the ability to take action and do something about it. So step number one, separate the facts from the feelings. This situation came with feelings, but it also came with facts. And if you ride on just the feelings forever and the facts are null and void to you, or they don't matter to you, you don't have a problem. You're making a decision. And that's where we would start.
The biggest issue with something like that, right? Like the double-edged sword of that is because you're raising your frequency in the world, you're also raising your importance. You're raising your ability to hold yourself to a higher standard. No, I'm above this. And all that shit comes with ego. You boost your ego, and as soon as you are not humble enough to know, hey, I'm just like everybody else, I just have access to more, that's when the ego just takes over. That's why every single religion talks about the enemy. I low-key think, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people do too, the enemy is just a construct for what the ego and the ego part of the mind talks to us. That right? Like in the Bible, and I know I'm rambling. In the Bible, it talks about the enemy is like a roaring lion that's preying, just walking around, always circling you, waiting for you to make a mistake so that it can pounce on you. Because that's what it is. It's just preying on you. It's watching you. What does that sound like? It sounds like the ego. It sounds like something that's always with you, something you cannot escape, and something that doesn't have your best interest in mind. It just wants self-preservation. It wants to survive. And the only way it survives is if it separates itself from you. And it makes you think that you're not exactly what you actually are, which is not the ego, not the mind, something much bigger, much grander, much more eternal, if we're going to go that way. But coming back to the Phantom of the Opera, he goes through this horrific accident where now his face is horrifically disfigured and he's ostracized. People don't see him for who he is, what he can do. They just point out his flaws, right? Now they have completely written him off. And they're not even giving them a time of day because that's where the society got to. Society got to that place where, like, we expect the finer things. We want beauty. When we go to the Sistine Chapel, we want to look up and be like, that's exceptional. That's the only thing I want. I don't want any of this bullshit. I just want the best. And the Phantom of the Opera was not the best. At least it didn't look like the best. He appeared as something less than, something that they judged. And then
But his skill set never changed.
Never. If anything, his skill set became much, much, much better because what he had to do in order to still have his passion, the purpose that was driving him and keeping him alive, because most people don't even have that. And what happens? They enter that doubt stage. They might even kill themselves because they don't have the purpose. They don't have the drive. They don't have the why. His why was the art. His why was the theater. So what he ended up doing is he lived in catacombs underneath the opera house. And he would still underneath the catacombs, he developed a way to listen to the opera, to still be a part of it just from the shadows. Because he needed to be close to that. That was his purpose, his artistic expression. So in doing that, in being in the shadows where no one sees you and you're just working away and doing your love, your craft, he developed this ability, this voice that was unreal. And because the catacombs also are the perfect environment resonance-wise, so that you can have the greatest amplification of your voice, that also helped, right? He had the environment that he needed to do his best work, even though no one saw him. And then the moment that love gets introduced, right? Someone who accepts you, someone who's interested and curious about, hey, why are you down here? Why are you not up there? The love that this, I forget her name, but the love that she gives him is a love that has no judgment. That's the first ingredient. And it's a love that is curious.
Right.
And that's all he really needed so that metamorphosis started happening. And I forget what like the entire I'm pretty sure it's a tragedy. Like it ends in tragedy.
One thing that I wanted to touch on that you brought up was, the ego. This is kind of where it started. And then he got disfigured. The skill set improved, but he was looked at just because he was looked at down upon just because the way that he was looked. He was a little bit disfigured.
Yeah.
Right. And then his ego was crushed when he became disfigured because of what other people said about him.
Yeah, and his ego, everybody's ego, is dependent on not just acceptance, because you got to accept the ego. It wants you to accept it as the true and only heir to your body, to your actions, to your movement. But it thrives on praise.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And when you are really good at something, naturally, most people are going to praise you. Most people are going to be like, wow, like that, I know that's hard. And you did that. Bravo, good on you, right? That's just a natural human reaction. But when you're exceptional, when you go above great, and you are just, we've never seen this. That's when you've transcended this upper level of excellence. That's where the Beatles got to, right? Like they get to a place where they're just like, we're better than Jesus Christ. Isn't that what John Lennon said?
I don't know if that's what he said. That's crazy if he did.
Towards the end, he said, we're the biggest band in the world. We're bigger than Christianity. We're bigger than Jesus. And that was, if you really think about the effect,
the reach,
the effect that just rising in the world and rising in your ability and rising in your excellence, you're also going to have something that's rising right along with you, which is your ego. Your ego, as you get more praise, as you get more access, more separation between you at the excellence and everyone else who will not take the first step in the road to excellence. Mm-hmm. That is where all that danger comes from.
Right.
I'm tired of taking the easy route because every time I take it, I get punched in the face. And you have to learn it, unfortunately, because it is these shiny objects. We talked about it off air as far as like what changed for you.
Yeah.
Sticking to the plan. There's so many different shiny objects.
So many.
And a lot of them you have easy access to.
Yep.
And you want to grab onto them because it seems like a sure deal. But you have to go through the punches in the face to say, hey, maybe I should just be in control. And maybe I should go through the hard stuff because that's what's going to get me to the next level or whatever it may be. And the thing I love about real estate too is it's all self-development. And you guys know, like, to progress or, just to progress in general, you have to go through these hard things. You have to address these problems. You have to confront demons within you. And that's where you get the fulfillment inside you. That's where you get to wake up and say, I have integrity because I went through all the bullshit. Yep. So long answer, but
I love it.
The answer is really, to sum it all up, is you have to go through it, unfortunately. Everybody's going to take the easy route eventually.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out a lot of the time.
It always
but it hasn't worked out for me, right? So.
Yeah. There's a concept that says that when we're operating, there's about 80% of the things that we're doing that are not giving us the result that we want, and about 20% of the things that we're doing that are going to give us the result we want.
Sure.
When you're trying to 10x, you have to do this inversion where you eliminate 80% of the things that you're doing. That process is so tough, especially when you've gotten comfortable, when you know the things, when you know what to say, when you internalize your script, when you know how to get the result that you've been getting. But in order to do 10x, in order to go exponentially high, you have to give up 80% of that. And there's 20% that's the toughest stuff that now has to become your new 80%. In that process, there's inherent greed, I think. But I think the way to make it work is don't do it with the intention that, like, all the things that you want that are outside of your garden are gonna come. You're doing it so that now your garden, you're going to make it the best fucking garden that you could possibly do it. And the only way to do it is to 10x this garden. And every single time that people, incredible geniuses in the world do that process, they elevate and they go to that next level. That's when the next level unlocks. That's when God goes, you figured out the key to this one.
Okay, let me ask you a question with the 80-20 rule. How does he give a tactical process or an exercise as to how you figure out what is your 80% and what is your 20%?
Yeah.
Because we're all fathers here. Y'all know once you become family men, it's like family first. And, you know, you're not sleeping as much, you're going to work, you're getting home, you're putting on the fatherhood cape and you're being the best dad you can be. There's not a lot of time for distraction, if you will. Like as soon as you become a father, like it's not as much leisure time anymore. So being who we are, how do you figure out what the 80% of stuff that is not valuable is? Because I almost feel like maybe not everything I do is valuable, but a lot of it has a purpose because I'm not even putting myself first anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how are you going through that process?
I would say you just start tracking things. Like, have
Time
you ever
audit?
tracked your day?
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling.
Yeah, that is a little crazy.
It's like I remember complaining how I have no time, and then I started. I tracked my day one day, and I was like so disgusted with myself. I'm
I
like,
hear you.
fuck.
This is after fatherhood, before?
This was during.
Okay, I need to redo it then.
And when you do, have you ever done 75 hard?
Yeah.
Oh, you realize how much time you actually have.
Yeah, it's true.
You do 75 hard, it's like, I got to do 2, like, because I couldn't even find, allegedly, all right, I'm going to say fucking allegedly, because I was like, oh, I'm getting fat, I'm getting out of shape. It was like, I don't have any time, I'm working so hard, and I did 75 hard. Now, I got time for 2 workouts?
Yeah.
I got time
and a
to...
book. And
book,
drinking water.
and take a piss 36 times a day.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's so excessive, right?
Yeah.
Because you're drinking a gallon. But it's like, damn, how much time do I actually have? And I'll put it into terms that I think would be most beneficial for our audience. Most of our audience is real estate related, although this is for everybody. But I'm gonna put it actually in terms of business, or if you're in sales, anything like that. Look at your previous closings. Okay, so if you look back at real estate, you look at title right now, or you look at real estate, I look at mortgage. Where did these leads come from? All of your closings, look at them. And I started looking at mine. And right now we're hard on this content game. Like this was back burner for us because we're like, there's no ROI on it. It's a passion project, a labor of love, as we would call it. And whereas now it's like, it's actually really exciting that we're doing this and we're doing this content because now there's also, this leads to one of our other targets, which is now we actually have content. We find our tribe and we're tying this right here, which if you look at both of our business, this is probably not an ROI positive thing. This right now at this point in time, this is probably not even probably
productive activity.
This is the 80%.
Yeah.
You should not be doing this if our only objective is that. But we have other objectives, right? So if you're inside a business, look at your closings. Let's just say last month, let's just say you had 20 closings. Where do those all come from? And if you look at it, you say, okay, this came from Adelio, this came from Victor, this came from Alexis, this came from there. Okay, what led to that happening? And start tracking that shit. Because one thing that I'm realizing, a trend, at least maybe it's just because the agents that I'm working with now are all social media people. Back in the day, dude, it was all buying leads. It was all Zillow. It was all Realtor.com. It was all pay-per-click. It was all that shit. And we made a killing, but it costed us a fuckload of money to do it. I remember I was spending $6,000 a month just on Zillow leads alone, and Zillow leads were $200 a lead and shit. I'm like, God, if we have one bad month,
we're cooked.
We're fucked.
So do you go through like a particular framework whenever you do sell from stage? Because you do. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it the perfect webinar, or like you have your own framework you created?
Here's my thought process. No one has invented anything. Gills Be Curious is my gather information. They're the same.
Of course.
So, you know, whether it's Chris Voss, you name it, no one invented anything. They talk, like, all I do is I teach with my flavor of something, clarity that makes sense. My talk has this framework. It's based around the first thing, building rapport. Right, my first question out my mouth, and anyone who ever sees me speak, it's, hey guys, before I start teaching anything, How many of you, like me, believe your ability to communicate is important? Show of hands. I now have men, women, all different ages, all raising their hand. I've built rapport around the topic I'm going to talk about. We are all the same. Why? Because people like to buy from people they feel the same as. So I have the part of my talk, question-based, building rapport with the audience. The next part is the evoking of emotion. Hey, before I start sharing, what benefits would you guys get being better in your communication? And then the room starts sharing, like, I'll have a better relationship with my wife. I'll have better relationship with my kids. I'll make more money, more sales. I'm getting the room to tell me. I'm not telling the room. That's a key tweak there. I'm evoking some emotion because now in their heads, they're like, well, if I do make more money, what will I do? Will I buy a car, or will I take the holiday, or will I do this? Now I'm getting them emotional. And then it's the call to action. If you build rapport, you evoke emotion, your call to action at the end can be very seamless. And you don't have to share. You've watched me speak. I don't share. This is all my packages. This is the price point. Right. It's, hey, do you guys believe, who believes, show hands, that if you had me in your life, I could help you more? Raise your hand. Okay, if your hand is up, what action should you take when if it's a small room, cell phone number goes up? Call you, text you. I'm like, great, I agree. And now what I've done is I taught people, and it's same in one-to-one conversations too.
Right.
So it's just teaching people how to ask. We talked about the questions you want the answer to. You're in an industry where people ask the worst questions that are never going to give them a chance for a call to action. Oh, I think we're going to hold off, the market's going to crash. And then the loan officer or realtor's like, well, why do you think it's going to crash? We don't know. It's 10:41 a.m. If I ask you, with all your knowledge, what's going to happen in the market at 10:45 a.m.?
No idea.
No way. Okay, perfect. And how long have you been in the industry?
Long time, over a decade, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to ask someone who's not even in the industry why they think something's going to happen. That's not the good question. That's the idea of the clarity of, like, I'm not saying you will never get the business asking it. I'm just saying you're diminishing your chances. And now you've given someone an ability to justify for however long they want,
right,
to go on about something that their neighbor went for a hair salon experience, and they happened to be earwigging a conversation next to them, and someone said that their son was a financial advisor on whatever it is. It's not relevant. So it's knowing how to ask a more predictable question. Hey, look, would you say you've got terrible taste, or would you say you've got particularly good taste? If you're next to your wife and I'm like, hey, Will, would you say you've got terrible taste in the property, or would you say you've got good taste? All right. You're going to be like, I've got the best taste.
right.
If they say I've got lousy taste, I'm like, we're not a good fit. But if they say they've got good taste, I can now take that conversation. Well, look, if you've got good taste, other people are going to love the same house as you, right? Right. Okay. So when the market does this, more chance or less chance are you getting the home you want? I'll let them think about it. Less. Okay. So what do you think we should be doing? I think we should keep looking. And when we see something, we can always refinance, right? I'm like, uh-huh. And it's just, and again, not Oscar nominee acting, and it's not too many people do the role play like they're gonna, I'm just giving them, it's not a script, it's they've said this, what do I want to ask this person so I can see, are we in agreement?
In terms of, I guess, the contrast between somebody that wants to put these things into practice, they want to start going through the curiosity garden information, but they may also have a part of them that goes like, maybe this is a little manipulative, right? Like they're going to inevitably go into a place where, like, they either reject it because they're afraid of doing it,
right?
And they start coming up with reasons why, or they start embracing it and they start being authentic with it. What would you say to somebody like that wants to start practicing these things, but they don't want to seem manipulative?
Okay, so a few things come to my mind. First off, and again, it's a flavor of the people watching and you guys.
Yeah.
It's allowable for us to have opinions, all right? And some of us can have opinions with fact, like really conviction. Here's one opinion I've got with conviction, one belief. If you're doing something legally, ethically, morally, with great intentions for another human being, you should never have to apologize for how you're going about your life. As long as those four things are factually in play, legally, ethically, good morals, good integrity, all right? Just to double down for clarity. Never have to apologize. If someone ever came to me, Jamie, teach me how to manipulate, I'll be like, I'm not going to do that. All right. It's never cool to make someone do something they don't want to do. I'm not coming up to you guys like, I want to be on your podcast. No, we don't want you. I'm still going to, doing a round peg into a square hole doesn't make sense. I think though that in terms of real estate, all right, no one's holding, you shouldn't be holding a gun to someone's head. You need to buy a home and like, I'm going to hold a gun to your head. They're coming to you. My goal is just to teach the loan officers and realtors how to have an ethical conversation that's asking a better caliber question. All right. If I ask you, does that sound like manipulation to you? What would you answer to that right now if you to actually answer so the camera could hear you? Does it sound like manipulation?
No, it sounds like clarity.
Okay. So so that's the first scenario. Now, how does someone get good at this stuff? I'll prove a point for your audience. I get better at my ability to communicate. I get better at my ability to sell because I teach. My aim is be on here today, teach a bunch of things to your audience so that they can go out there and have success for themselves. Embrace naivety wherever you can. If someone said, Jamie, what's your superpower? It's my naivety. All right? It's my naivety to not get programmed like everyone else to go get a job, get grading school. All right? It has to be naivety because it goes against the grain. It's independent of everything else in society. So I think the more the self-talk that you have, all right, and this is my business, no business plan, never had one. My sister said, Jamie, you did next nothing for a business plan. I said, Carly, I'm deeply offended right now. Why? Because I didn't do next nothing. I've done nothing. I still don't have a business plan, all right? Yet the world, do a business plan. I'm like, it causes analysis paralysis because you need this thing to be perfect before you go past go. So to try and cut this short and make it 3 questions, your business can be based on 3 questions alone. You ask yourself, do I believe in myself? You answer that with yes. You might at the beginning have to go, why do I believe in myself? And answer it. Second question, can I get someone else to believe I can help them? If you answer that to yourself, you might have to say why and come up with an example of someone you helped, all right, to do that. The third question is, can I get someone to place a high value on what I bring them? You have those 3 questions answered in your self-talk, you can go and put money in your pocket and make a living.
You have a saying, I don't have to be better than you. I could be butchering it, but I believe it was, I don't have to be better than you, I just have to out-consistent you.
Oh, yeah. That's a long time. I be saying stuff, right? For real.
That's like Lil Wayne when you read his lyrics, you know, he's like, oh, that's fire. It's like,
I did that. No, but like I just be having thoughts and be like, boom, and I just crank it out, and I be forgetting people be saying that, but it's like, yeah, it was like I will out consistent you. No one will out consistent me. It was something along those lines. It was like a Facebook post,
right?
And it's true because I don't know if it's a 90s baby thing. I know part of it is there's a power in accomplishing things, right? It builds a belief. So seeing what I've accomplished and how I got there has created like a thread that is unshakable. And the one thing I know through these 35 years in my life is consistency is the key to everything, right? It takes 9 years to become an overnight success.
Right.
And I know majority of people are not willing to put in the 9 years.
Oh, not at all.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of my superpowers, especially when I believe in it. Are you telling me it takes 9 years to hit the goal and dream I have? That's it? That's all it's going to take? Let's do it. Yeah. Let's lock in. And it doesn't even become, it's not a task. Right. It just becomes a routine. And it's a mental edge as well for where I want to go. When I wake up at 4:30 and I'm at the gym, I know majority of the population is asleep, right? And I don't have enemies, but I create enemies, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm up. I did more than this quote unquote hater. Once again, I don't even know if I have haters, but I create haters in my brain, right? I know the hater wasn't up today. He didn't read 30 pages. He didn't go to the gym. He hasn't even already made his calls all the way up. And it's 10 a.m. already. Yeah.
You know, I made 20 connections, 2-hour workout. I've read my 30 pages before Mr. Hater came up and commented. Once again, people, I don't have haters, bro, but this is just how my brain works. So that's just another part of it.
What's one thing that you believed 5 years ago
What's one thing
that you no longer believe today?
Ooh. They didn't prep me for this question. So let me see. That is a great question. What is one thing that I believed 5 years ago that I do not believe now? This is good, Will.
That's why I did it.
This is good. This is good.
That's what I'm saying.
Allow me to continue, and I'm talking right now, so we don't have no
dead air.
Yeah, no dead air.
You're good.
And I'm just going through my life 2020. I've been in real estate like 10 years. First 3 years was wholesaling. This is it. People, this sounds cliche, but specifically to real estate. People, right, who don't listen to you, Diante, right, in regards to commitment and consistency still can be successful. I used to believe if you weren't willing to make necessary changes and be militant in what you're doing, that you could not be successful, that you did not want it enough. My belief changed in the sense that I was prescribing the wrong medicine. It wasn't that they weren't able to, and once again, my belief got in the way of actually peeling back what they needed at the time. So my belief was, okay, you just don't want it. You don't want to make 150 calls a day. You don't want it. So get out of my face. Like, don't talk to me. Don't come back to me. But what that person really needed wasn't real estate related. It was more so life related. But I never took the time to dig deeper, right? So now when someone doesn't do what they initially come to me for, I don't just napalm and you're out of my life. I have a conversation like, hey, you know, we sat down here and we went through these things. You didn't do them. I know what you share with me. This is why, but obviously there's something going on. Let's be real. Break down to me what's going on in your life, right? And that has helped me tremendously in regards to a leader, to someone that it takes a lot for just a human being to ask for help. So who are you to just leave them to die? You know what I mean? So 5 years ago, I was that person. You come to me, I'm looking at it black and white. You want help? I know how to get there, do this, or you don't want it. Now it's more so, come, you didn't do it. Let's sit down and see why you didn't do it, how we can help and actually prescribe the right medicine to what you actually need, right? Real estate or your business may not be actually what we need to talk about right now. You know what I mean? Now, that grace is only going to go so far, Will.
Right.
Right? At the end of the day, that's still in me, right? You're not going to come back to me 6-7 times talking about the same thing. Obviously, you just want to be where you are. So I'm going to be real with you. There's a limit to this grace, guys, right? But I definitely have grown in the sense that I just don't cut people off when they don't do what I tell them to do or prescribe them to do.
The director of counterterrorism resigned, and the letter that he actually posted on X is so enlightening, right? Like, we both read it and we saw the stuff that he's talking about. If you haven't read it, go read it. You need to pick up what he's putting down, because this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, right? And some of the people that watch, some of the few people that watch what we put out on a weekly basis, they may entertain some of this stuff. They may think that we're fucking kooks. But this is such a validating point.
Right.
When you realize, hey, the stuff that we've been doing at a geopolitical level has been kind of genius, right? When you look at the way that we handled Venezuela, when you look at the way that we've been opening up, drilling back up in Alaska, we opened up a refinery in Texas, I think it's Brownsville.
Okay.
the first one in 50 years, right? To refine light crude oil from our shorts. Like this, we're doing the most for energy that we've ever done. And then at the same time, we're gonna go ahead and jeopardize energy in the Middle East, which is, you know, a ton of oil that we need comes from that Strait of Hormuz. So it's insane that.
So did you say? I don't think you said it. What did the letter say?
Okay, so essentially, what Joe Kent is not really alluding to is he's stating as
Deliberately
stating that the lobbying for Israel is the reason why we are at war with Iran.
Right.
Because there's absolutely no credible threat from Iran for us to get involved in this way, in this matter. So when you look at everything that we've been doing, right? We've been bolstering the US, our own energy production, and then we go to war with Iran. It just, I just don't understand. Like maybe it's just beyond my IQ. I can't really see how the chess pieces are being moved. But to do it in this fashion, in this destructive fashion, not only for this Middle Eastern country that has no credible threat anymore, but for us to be putting our own men and women in jeopardy because of this. That's the stuff that I'm like, I don't understand. And that's why Kent resigned, because he's like, this is something I can't get behind.
He confirmed our suspicions.
Correct.
Right. And I would almost say like it was already confirmed, right? For most people, if you're not sleeping under a rock or if you're simply just not paying attention, some of the stuff is way too obvious. I don't think there's any benefit of us doing what's like everything that's happening over there. Zero benefit to us.
Right.
Like we at least in the real estate mortgage world, like we were under 6% for the first time in 3 years. That same day, overnight, we bombed Iran. And we didn't just bomb Iran. What did we do? We bombed the school of little kids.
Yep.
180 dead or something like that.
Insanity.
Like unnecessary, right? I mean, we targeted their oil reserves. Didn't they like bomb? They bombed like you see those videos of like just fucking fire and flames everywhere, where even like the sewage systems has flames coming out of it and shit, like crazy.
Yeah.
Is that attacking Iran like a military strategy just to like try to cripple them and kill their people, or like what is the purpose of it? Because that doesn't serve the world.
Correct.
What's the purpose? Remember the what he said about dynasties, Xi Jinping?
Yeah.
He talks about how empires always come and go, and China's lasted the test of time, thousands of years. But you look at the Roman Empire, you look at what's the Mongolians, the Persians,
Then the English.
the English, like they all rose and fall, and China's always been kind of a superpower that's always in the mix, and they stood the test of time. And talking about like America has only been a superpower for 200 years, something like that.
Real young.
Real young. A lot of wisdom there, a lot to unpack. And if you're American like we are, and we grew up with all the news and everything, we were raised to believe, or at least I was. Actually, you were born out of the States, but you spent most of your life in America, right?
Yeah.
We used to believe how everything America's great, America's this, America's that. To where now it's like, as I'm getting older and older, I'm looking back and saying, fuck, dude. History's written by the victors. Were we actually the villains this whole time?
Right.
Like, you start looking at everything. First off, I question whether or not we landed on the moon. I don't even know if I question anymore. I think it's more of like an adamant, like I'm fairly certain, like in the show Billions. I'm not uncertain.
Correct.
Like, pretty sure that didn't happen. Why haven't we come back or went back, right? Like, let's get that off the table. We're colonizers, and our government is owned by Israel lobbyists, right? By the way, did you see, Larry Silverstein? So he owned the Twin Towers. 6 weeks before 9/11, he insured them for an ungodly figure, and then 9/11 happens, cashes in.
Right.
never missed work, but he just so happened, him and his family decided to miss work that day.
Correct.
Coincidence, maybe, maybe not. And now they're saying the FBI is warning that Iran is going to attack the West Coast in California. You know who owns the largest skyscraper in LA?
Oh no.
Larry Silverstein. So Iran, smart enough, they already publicly stated our war is not with the American people, it's with the politicians and the people in power in America. But we have no intention of attacking U.S. civilians. If it does happen, it's a false flag attack, looking for someone to blame. But I love the fact that they're getting ahead of this.
Right.
And I also love the fact that social media is pointing these things out now so that people can be awake. Because like if I shared this, let's say to my brother who won't entertain these conversations for the most part, he'll look at it and be like, oh, this is all conspiracy theory, yada, yada, yada. But if it happens, you're like, dude, I sent this to you. Is it really conspiracy? And then now I haven't even spoke to him since Joe Kent, right? Like,
right. This is a huge
deal.
development.
Right. He's director of counterterrorism for the United States.
He's a certified badass. Like he had 11 completed deployments. He was a Green Beret. Like this is not a civilian.
Right.
This is a war dog. This is a guy that knows war intimately. And he's the one that's saying, hey, there's no credible threat. I know because I've done the shit.
Right. 11 deployments is no joke.
No joke. As a Green Beret, as an Army Ranger,
right.
You know how hard those fucking training regimens are?
Yes, man. I just saw War Machine.
Oh, shit.
Okay, so I do hormone replacement therapy, and I actually have a 100% success rate because I do it right. And I think that's not okay. You want to do hormone replacement therapy in a very balanced way and only if you need it, not to change your gender. I see so many things. People come to me and it's done wrong. And these are people that are hormone deficient or hormone imbalanced, and they can be young. So then it's appropriate. But our organs and glands communicate via hormones. So if you're trying to change the way that your body functions, listen, I have no problem with people having homosexuality or anything like that, but I do have a problem with people harming themselves because the long term, it's devastating what can happen. If your organs are supposed to be doing one thing and you're trying to completely suppress that and make your body do something as if you have organs that you want it to be doing, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know, and then the risk for cancer and all that stuff goes up. And again, if your organs and glands can't communicate, nothing works. I mean, I'm talking thyroid, adrenal glands, gonads, which in women are ovaries, and men are their testicles. The message goes up to the brain is affected. So I could really talk a lot about that on a whole entire, podcast if we ever get to that. But yeah, I don't think it's a good idea.
Something that you mentioned before is how you say it's a trend. Right now it's many like young people, like minors, 15, 16, trying to make a transition when they don't even know this is actually they want. Some of them make the transition, and when they turn like 25, 26, they're like, what I did that.
Right. They regret it.
Yes, absolutely. So if somebody after like 25, 30 years old is thinking about the transition, okay, it's more optional. But if you're like 13, 15, I don't think it's the right.
You don't even know you don't know anything when you're that young.
Correct. And I mean, I can't believe that anybody that specializes in hormones and actually understands what hormone therapy is could ever ethically do it because of how damaging it can be. When somebody comes in with an oxygen in the 60s and 70s, you intubate them.
Right.
We didn't know that the spike protein pokes the heme on the red blood vessel, which spills oxygen out everywhere and creates massive oxidative stress because there's nowhere for the oxygen to attach. Because with all this massive inflammation, your oxygen receptors are taken over by something else. Mitochondrial nitric oxide gets overproduced. And then it has a higher affinity for oxygen receptors. That's one of the sciences that the red light reverses. But so yeah, you put them on the ventilator, you put them on 100% oxygen. Hyperoxia is bad anyway. So you shoot their oxygen level up, and all it does is create massive inflammatory, cytokine storm. And they have full system shutdown.
Yeah.
And their lungs flood. It's an immune response. You get like lymphatic fluid, like all the stuff is coming to the lungs to try to do something. And yeah, so people can tolerate a low oxygen level with COVID that was completely defied any science we knew. So it was very, very confusing.
Yeah.
We were killing people and had no idea why.
Yeah, that happened to my aunt. And one of the saddest parts is a family member was the doctor at the hospital in Kendall Regional that put her on the respirator. So
we didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, we hadn't. It totally defied any science that we had ever followed. And again, I've been critical care all but the first 6 months of my career. Trauma, everything, cardiac, and I taught critical care for hospital systems. And I mean, that's what you would have always done. You want to get the oxygen up. We had no idea it would kill them.
Yeah.
So you just let them be low oxygen, or sometimes that didn't work either.
Yeah.
But
They were
God
also
forbid-
incentivized, right? There was a financial incentive.
There was a huge financial incentive.
Right.
Oh my God. And if that's not a crime against humanity, why would the insurance companies come and say, you get this much more money if they're admitted ICU and this much money if they're intubated? It was
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know the culture piece there, and how are you driving action when there's so much fear in the market, right? Like with your team specifically.
Sure.
Because when you own the business and you're built it, and you at this point in time you've had it for over a decade, right? And you're not going to just throw in the towel because I've been building this thing for the last 10, 15 years or what have you. I'm talking 2020 when all that, the compression, all that stuff starts happening. What does the conversation look like with your team to go on offense? And what does it actually look like in terms of activity for them to follow through on?
Compartmentalization. So like what happened was most firms were saying, okay, well, we're going to have one person do 2 jobs because we need to protect margins. And then your team members aren't able to focus on offense because they're playing defense as well. And so we just made a decision that we were going to make sure that we continued to segment the business so the team members that were set out to go on offense had the ability and had the capacity to stay on offense. So number one was just structure, to make sure that things are structured appropriately to where you're not leaning back on defense, you're still staying on offense. And then number two, there was a term that I learned from mentors before Urban Young, back in the days when I was in network marketing, that I still believe to this day, is you have to sell the dream. Like, people forget what they're fighting for every day. And not everybody is a dreamer innately. And so good leadership is about reminding people what is available tomorrow, right? If I know that tomorrow can be better than today, I'm willing to pay the price today. But through the muck and through the noise, you forget what you're fighting for, right? Have you ever had a week where it's just so tough that on Thursday you look around and you go, what am I even doing? Like, what are we doing here? I forget what we're actually doing. What's the mission? What do I want? What are my dreams, right? You're just so in it that you can't see beyond the fog. And I think good leadership is about pulling somebody through that or clearing the noise and saying, hey, remember what's available here. And so we just, where are the cheese moved? And at that point in time, it was, hey, if you can take market share during this time, regardless if you make more money or not, when the market comes back, you're going to be one of the few that did the work, and you're going to get all the benefit, and it's going to be an overnight success. And so it's just a constant reinforcement. And when things are tough, you're like, I'm setting expectations. Hey, this is exactly how we said it would be. This is exactly how we anticipate it to be. Isn't this great? This is exactly what we want, right? Instead of saying, hey, it's okay, it'll get better, it was like, no, this is great. Like, when you walked into that lender's office, how many agents did you see? Oh, nobody. Well, did you ask them when somebody's been? They're like, no, people don't even come out anymore. It's like, exactly, it's perfect. And by the way, the market's gonna get better and this time period's gonna be over. So we would create urgency that said, you don't want this to end, before you do what's required in order to get the results that you're looking for. So it's like all of a sudden it became, oh wow, this is a moment in time, it's an opportunity, and it won't be this way forever. I need to seize this opportunity. Instead of saying, hey, just hang in there, it'll get better. Hang in there, it'll get better. So it's a reframe, it's selling the dream, and then it's also make sure you structure the business to where people are actually able to do what you're asking them to do.
That's what leadership looks like at Urban Young.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it fluxes, man. We're all leaders are just humans, and we all have good days, we have bad days. I have fears, I have anxieties, I have stress, I have insecurities, I have imposter syndrome, but I hope that makes me a better leader. I think sometimes people think that leadership is about having all the answers. Leadership is about being bulletproof. It's not. It's just about courage to me. It's about, I want to follow a leader that has the courage and the willingness to go do at a really high velocity. They have the experience that they've had some success, but they also have the humility to not pretend when they don't have the answers. Like during this was happening, I've been through 2 of these cycles, but nothing like what just happened. I didn't pretend, and my partners didn't pretend that we had all the answers. We just knew that based on human behavior, if this is like any other market cycle, as long as the insurance business doesn't just go away, if it's like any other market cycle, this is what's gonna happen for those that stay in it and do high velocity of activity. And so you're hoping and you're banking on that, but you're making a bet and you're just being transparent. Hey, this is the bet that I'm making. Come along the ride if you're willing to make this bet as well. So, this leadership game is a game of will, right? It's a game of, outlasting the competition. It's a matter of the game between your ears, right? I just want to show up every day with a willingness to do the work. And if I could show up with a willingness and a good attitude to do the work, I feel like that's infectious, right? Because, this game, I think Rod my partner, told me this a long time ago. It was great. He played on the tour, or he caddied on the tour for a little bit for golf. And he would watch some of these guys come and go. And he goes, you know what the definition of greatness is? And I was like, oh, man, that's a good question. It's kind of loaded. I don't know. He goes, longevity. Success and longevity over a long period of time, right? And that, come back to the decade conversation we have. The leaders that I look around, especially like in Central Florida and other places, it's the leaders that have been doing it a long time. They may have changed companies, they may have changed positions, they may have done different things, they may have sold a business, opened a different one, but they've been doing it consistently over a long period of time. Because to me, that creates trust, right? For leadership, I need to be able to trust this person, what they say, what they do. If I don't know if you're gonna be around or you're gonna change your mind or we're gonna pivot all the time, I can't trust you. And if I can't trust you, I'm not gonna fall in line with what you're saying.
Right.
And that's always just stuck out to me.
So I'm always curious because leadership it's so tough. It's so tough. In my opinion, it's tough, right? Because sometimes when you're leading somebody and you're trying to guide them, it's like, why aren't you just doing the things that you say you're willing to do for the things that you say you want, right? I think specifically to a couple people that I've led in the past. Sure. It's like you're falling behind on your bills. You're in a commission-only gig, right? And it's like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Okay, great. I will match your energy. Whatever you're willing to do, I will match that, right? You need support, I'll support you. You need help, call me, I'll be there. But I'm gonna show up at this time. I'm gonna work till this time, and I'm gonna be in the office from this time to this time. And I'm gonna do the work. I show up to the office, where are they? Not there. And when they show up an hour or two late. It's like, it's commission only, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, it tracks back to what you just said, and because I've heard it said differently, but it's the same thing.
Sure.
Where leadership is the ability to cast a vision. But as a leader, and this is something that now that you're saying this, I realize that I have fallen short on in my past life. Casting a vision big enough that they can fit their vision inside of yours.
Sure. Yeah.
And
it's believable.
Right.
It's like, okay, this makes sense. Because if they do this, my life gets better.
Right.
Right? If it's not big enough, someone says, well, they might achieve it, but that doesn't move my needle.
In terms of I guess, working one-on-one with your teammates, what's like the standard of practice when it comes to like self-development at Urban Young? Because I have had I've been in real estate for about 4 years now, and last year for me was terrible. I had to go back and do some of this nasty self-reflection that nobody likes. And I came back with some real heavy hitting answers. It's all because of the choices that I made. And at the end of the last year, I had a choice to make. I was like, okay, am I going to keep repeating these loops that I'm in at a much grander scale because I'm going to keep putting gas on the fire? Or am I going to go back to the lab, adjust some things, and do some actual work to develop myself? And in that process, I did this whole identity thing with Gil. It was an identity workshop. My word for that identity workshop is I am undeniable. So that was like my moniker for this year. In doing that, I also did a lot of self-reflection, a lot of meditation, and I came back to the center of pretty much where everything is for me, which is I have, my issues at home, I have my issues at work, I have my issue, all the daily things, but underneath everything is this one voice of criticism that sounds kind of like my childhood, and it tells me I'm not enough. And then from that place, going through I didn't want to look at it, but then I forced myself to look at it. Coming out of it, I was like, okay, if this is here and it's been here the whole time, what do I need to do to either get it out or reframe it or do something so that it's not the seed from which everything I grow spawns.
Right.
And for me, one of the things that I've been doing is making sure that every single morning, instead of waking up from lack, instead of waking up from shame or any other emotion that comes from that little seed, I look at it, I acknowledge it, and I'm like, not today. We're not gonna do that today. And then I do my little 10, 15 minute setting to reframe, and then I have a completely different day. So with that in mind, like, what is it that you guys do for personal development to kind of foment that? Because that is a very personal journey for everybody.
That's a cool question. I bet that's been a fruitful journey for you.
Yeah.
I've done, that's and I don't think it ever ends, honestly. But yeah, it's a great question. Kind of our mantra is we're a personal development company that happens to sell insurance. I mean, I got into this business because I loved the development side of this game. I think business is a spiritual game. Like this is my vehicle to be able to excel and create this stair step to my highest and best. In doing so, I can help more people. I can make an impact. I can be more fulfilled. I can have a more fruitful life, right? Like, so the question becomes, that's really important for me, but that's not always important for the people that are coming here to get a career or have a job or do something that they just want to get in the insurance business, right? And so when you tell somebody we're a personal development company that have still insurance, they look at you like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What does that mean? I don't get what And so I think one is you got to meet people where they are. I think early in my career, I would blow people out of the water because that's really important to me. And I would sometimes impress how important that is to somebody else. And it's not fair, right? It's personal to me, and I think it's valuable, and I think it would be very helpful for people to lean into that. But that's a very personal choice on their end. So I think one is I could be the lighthouse, and I can showcase how it's made an impact in my life and how I'm continuing to do that. And at some point, we all have these days of decision and these tough moments that show up. And when the tough moments show up, life shakes us, and we look around and say, hey, there's got to be some sort of tool to be able to help me, because I can't keep doing what I'm doing. Like, this isn't working. And personal development is that for me, right? Like, and so I want to be there, and I want to be an example to where when that shows up for somebody, I have a tool that they could use. It's like a life preserver. I'm not going to make somebody get out of the boat and hang on to the life preserver, but I am going to throw the life preserver by the boat, because if they fall out of the boat, they're going to grab onto it. Does that make sense? So I'm just going to be there. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to showcase an example, and I'm not going to push. But what we do is we read 10 pages of a good book a day, right? And I learned that from prepaid legal days, man. You know,
Jeff Olson.
Absolutely. And by the way, we give people the slight edge from Jeff Olson when they get hired. And it's, the slight edge is I do the simple disciplines every single day that seem to not make a difference at all. But over a long period of time, they compound to either success or failure, right? It's the little disciplines that we do that seem to not matter, that do matter. And that is the basis of personal development, right? Like, so we give people that book, and then we it's one of our core commitments in the company. We read 10 pages of a good book a day. Now, do people do that? Absolutely not. They don't, right? They're like, I'm not doing that. You give me the book, maybe I'll read the book, maybe I won't. I'll read it to impress you because I just got the job, but this whole personal development thing, I don't know what you're talking about. We do a bi-weekly call, a personal development call. We've been running for 15 years. And we get on for 30 minutes, somebody hosts it, and we go through a book. And it's just by chapter, by chapter, by chapter. And so this is about meeting people where they are. They can get on the call even though they haven't read the chapter. You're supposed to have read the chapter and get on the call, but most people don't read the chapter, they just get on the call. But that's okay, because they're hearing and they're listening and we're having discussions. And it's like, okay, I'm listening, but I'm kind of not, again, it's just a little bit of forward progress. They're seeing what this looks like, right? Inundated. Culture to me is organized groupthink, like a set of behaviors that happens in a set of people without anybody talking about it, because that's just what we do. And so if you condition people to be in that type of environment, it becomes more normalized, right? If you're in an environment where you're in a pit and everybody's making cold calls, you're just gonna cold call.
Right.
But if you're in a pit and nobody's making cold calls, you ask somebody to cold call, it's not the culture. They're not going to make cold calls. And so, one, it's communication, and we're continuing at 10 pages of a good book, 10 pages of a good book, 10 pages of a good book. We're going to give them the tool, which is a book, and we're going to encourage them to read. We're going to give them a platform to be able to participate. And then we're just going to do that over a long period of time. And what ends up happening is people won't do it. Then they get into a crisis. They're not being successful. They ask for help. We say, hey, how many books have you read? They say none. And they say, well, what would it look like if you read a book on this particular subject? Can I read it with you? Maybe I'll buy them the book. I'll write a note in it that says I care about them and I want them to be successful. This was a book that was impactful to me. I'll give it to them. They might start and journey, and all of a sudden now, they're reading. And so a lot of these guys, when they first started with us, they didn't read anything. And now they're consuming content, they're reading books, and they're accelerated their careers. But that hasn't happened overnight. It's just like you, where you come into a situation where you're met with friction and you say, okay, I got to reevaluate my situation. I just want that to be a resource available to them when that happens, because usually we don't make changes when things are good. We usually make changes when things are tough.
Right. Mm-hmm. So the environment that you guys create is always there, so that when they decide to show up, hey, welcome, we've been waiting for you. Yeah,
100%. I think I view business and human development like I want to create this stream, right? This downhill stream. My job is to create these checkpoints down the stream, this system, this ecosystem, this environment, right? All you got to do is get in, and it'll take you down the river, right? Some people don't want to get in. They'll walk down the stream, like they'll get in when they want to, and they'll get out, like that's fine. That's not my job. My job is not to dictate them. I don't throw them in. They have to make the choice to get in. But I want to create, and where I spend our disproportionate amount of our time as an executive level is how do we create this stream or this river to where if people get in, they're safe, they have fun, and they're going to have success. And so establishing kind of those ways for people to participate in that, these environments, is where I spend most of my time, not convincing people that it's good for them.
Have you heard Tom Brady's definition of culture?
No, but I bet that's awesome.
Oh, man. Well, it was actually really, really simple, but it made a lot of sense to me. I'm actually going to see him in May.
Really?
Supposed to see him. I was supposed to see him last year in May.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he canceled. So I saw Kevin Hart instead. But he's going to be, hopefully, God willing, Tom Brady is there, because that's like, he's my Michael Jordan to me.
He's a lot more free these days, so.
Yeah, but the thing with Tom is, like, I wanted to hate him when I was younger. You know what I mean? Like,
because he wins.
Well, also because I'm a Raider fan, and when we had our highest probability of winning the Super Bowl, we had the Tuck Rule game. For you. Yeah, AFC Championship. It was a fumble. They created a new rule. You know the Tuck Rule game, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And anyways.
But what's funny about that? Before you say this, like that's another example, just for a leadership perspective, is like everybody hated Tom until he retired. And then everybody loves him.
Right.
So it's another example, like if you're moving, you're getting attacked. Like the world doesn't like winners until the winner is done. And then they go, man, that was an incredible winner. Like, you know, anybody who's ever achieved anything is usually significantly disliked, significantly backlash, significant negative energy towards what they're doing. And then when the smoke's cleared, they're either perceived as an enemy or a hero, right? When you're in it, you don't know if you're the villain or the hero, honestly. Sometimes, especially when you're in leading teams, some people think you're the hero, some people think you're the villain. It's tough. Sometimes I go home at night and I'm like, man, am I on the right track? Because this person hates me. I think I'm doing the right thing, but it can be confusing sometimes. So that's cool with Tom, because now everybody loves Tom, but everybody hated Tom.
Yeah, well, thankfully I started appreciating him before he retired, and I think that just came with maturity and getting older.
Yeah.
Because when he left the Patriots, I was like, I wanted him to win in Tampa, and he won. You know, but anyways, he said culture to me is really simple. Is do I care about what we're trying to accomplish? For every individual person on that team, right? For them, it's winning a Super Bowl. Right. For your team, it might be just some kind of goal of certain premium serving X amount of families, whatever the case may be. Do I care about that? And number two, do I care about the people beside me? And that's it. And that's how he sets the culture around him. And so he does it by, obviously, have you heard the story with him and, was it Rodney Harrison? But when he first joined the Patriots and he got drafted, you know, he's a pudgy, and it might not have been Rod now that I'm thinking about it, but he was like a pudgy, very unathletic looking. If you saw a picture of him, have you seen his draft photo?
Yeah.
That's not an athlete. When you look at it, that is not an athlete, right? But he starts showing up. So first day he goes in, he gets the keys to the kingdom rather, right? And he goes in and he's a backup quarterback. He's nobody important, but he shows up like that first day, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And at that point, I believe it was Rod. It might not have been Rod, but one of the teammates was like, oh, what's this guy doing here? Like, I show up first. Normally he was showing up at 7 o'clock and he's the first one there. And he's like, day one, he sees this backup quarterback showing up before me. He's like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm the guy who shows up first because our first team meeting's not till 10:30. So he's like, all right, next day, no problem. I'm gonna show up. Next day he shows up at 6 o'clock. Tom Brady's there. It's like, what the fuck is this? Next day he's like, he shows up again, 5:30. Tom Brady's there. The next day shows up at 4:30. Tom Brady's walking out of the gym, full sweat, throws a towel over his shoulder. He goes, have a good workout, Rod. And he's like, who the fuck is this guy? And what it did for him is, the interesting thing was, it was just Rod for a long time, for years, until Tom Brady started doing it. And he was a backup. Within 2 weeks, everybody was showing up by 7 o'clock.
Wow.
When before 7 o'clock was the first one in the building.
Dang, what a cool story, Will.
Yeah. So cool. And like, what's interesting is like, he changed the culture before he was the guy.
Yeah.
Because who was the guy in front of him? They just gave him a big contract, wasn't it? Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe had the contract. He had the deal. He's the guy. Like, you're not going to replace him. He just got a huge contract. Then he gets injured. And then the opportunity presented himself. Yeah. But he'd already shifted the culture before that happened.
That's amazing. He's already the leader. Yeah, he already had the respect of the team, already had the trust, which is half the battle.